This episode of the Blue Collar Real Estate Podcast brought to you by Stacy Mayo and the Scott Miller team at Ruoff Mortgage. Whether you're buying new or refinancing, Ruoff has a solution for you. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Blue Collar Real Estate. I'm Greg Mayo.
And I am Ryan Herget. Greg, it has been a good minute and a half since we were last together in studio. I am enjoying this. It's been a fun afternoon so far. So what are we doing today, dude?
Dude, I'm excited. First of all, I want to thank our newest sponsor, Shields Outfitters in Omaha, Nebraska.
Heck yeah.
They're really not sponsors, but I love that place. It's like the coolest outdoor store ever. Part of the reason we missed episodes, right? I was out in Omaha visiting my kid and then out in South Dakota.
You literally took an awesome trip. You went out and you saw Mount Rushmore. You saw like the Badlands. You saw all the awesomeness that exists in Western America.
Crazy Horse,
And
which was...
It's just like that is truly one of my favorite parts of the country. I'm not exaggerating. There's no lie about that. Like I love that drive where you see the plateaus and you just see all that. Like it's just amazing. Like we don't have that here in Indiana, even a little bit.
No, and in an 8-day trip, my wife with our camera took, I think, 328 pictures. Because everywhere you go, there's a new vista. There's something more beautiful to see.
You do keep changing your Facebook profile picture, I will say.
Well, I've got a lot to go through.
So, Greg, I have the robotic camera on a close-up now. So show that logo off. Okay.
There it is.
Look at that.
Look at that
Shields
close-up.
Outfitters. There it is. Looking sharp.
Nick, if you're sitting there in Omaha watching, buddy, that's for you.
There it is. So, Greg, we are continuing our conversation into diving into the trades industry, right? Because you and I are both super passionate about, what exists in the trades industry. That's why we started this show.
Yep.
It's like provide practical, actionable application to both real estate and the trades. Well, the trades directly apply to the real estate industry, and we are both very intertwined in both. So let's talk today a little bit more about the plumbing industry, because while this is certainly the opposite of a sexy industry, oh my gosh, like I had a really good friend in real estate once tell me, he's like, dude, if there was many more people who knew how much money was made in the trades industry, there would be a lot more people in the trades industry. But the problem is most people don't want to do things like plumbing, because let's face it, that sounds not sexy, right?
Right. And what did we talk about earlier today? Years ago, I applied for a job with a septic tank cleaner. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not taking the job, and I'll save the story for another time. But the guy said, I suck crap for a living.
Literally.
And I make more money than anybody you know, because nobody else wants to do it.
And see, that's what I love about this is the second you are willing to just say, remove the ego from everything and say, you know what, this is actually kind of cool. Like I was talking to one of my racing buddies the other day, and he's like, I legit enjoy, like he was debating buying a skid steer, right? And he's like, I legitimately enjoy just like driving big equipment. It's awesome. It's kind of fun. Like when you knock a tree down to make way for something new and awesome. He's like, I love this. And the same thing in this industry. That's what one thing I just so am passionate about when it comes to the trades industry. And, plumbing is not something I specifically do well. I know many a plumber, researched this thing to infinity at this point. And, it exists. And this is something that is going to be available and going to be an opportunity forever. Because guess what? Everybody needs plumbing that works, right or wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. And the technology is changing with plumbing.
Rapidly.
And we can get, I don't even think we're going to have time to get into that today, but it's really a wide open field. And I think what you're going to find as you go through this episode with Ryan and I today is that there are a lot of opportunities beyond what we normally think about with a plumber.
Well, and that's just it, because, when you and I normally think of plumbing, we think of what? Fixing the leak, under your sink.
Right.
Or, oh my gosh, I got a leak. I got to call the plumber. But there is so much more to this industry than what that just is right there. Yes, that is absolutely something you can do, but it is not the entirety of the industry. And this is just an exponentially large industry that most people don't even consider. That's why I'm so excited about it, because, dude, you can literally show up and within 2 years you're making $60,000, $75,000 a year just by showing up on time and doing what you say you're going to do every day.
And if that sounds like a recurring theme, what just came out of Ryan's mouth is because it applies not only to everything, but it applies to every stinking trade. Again, this week, we tried to get a plumber on.
Right.
The plumbers that I know and trust and use, I keep looking for that camera, and it's way the hell over there. Jason's now.
Sorry, man. I'm turning everything over to robotics, so they're going to be all over the place.
We're going robot mode here.
So Jason is officially AI. So I lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, I contacted Ed plumber I love. He's worked on my house. He's worked on my clients' houses. That one we did in Speedway together back in the fall, he worked there. And he's like, dude, I would love to be there, but there is absolutely no way. I am so covered up. I said, at 5 o'clock on a Friday? He said, yeah, till about 8 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
The work's there.
That's just what it is. You and I have talked about this to exhaustion, but from the trades industry standpoint, the opportunities are abound. So anybody that ever wants to tell me that, wow, I can't find a job, wow, all you have to do is show up and work and do maybe something like what you just said, Greg, do something that maybe nobody else wants to do, and all of a sudden you magically find yourself making an incredible income immediately.
Yep.
So let's kind of delve into, what are those opportunities within this industry? Go ahead.
Well, real quick before we do that, Jason has a couple pictures, and I want to show first a bad plumbing job done by a non-plumber.
Right. This is like a bad painting job done by like a homeowner who's never painted before.
Right. And I said this in pregame that I wasn't going to mention where it was, but I'm actually going to. So this weekend.
Oh, boy. Greg is peeling back the onion here. He's going to share some secrets.
Well, today we moved one of my sons and his best friend into their new apartment.
Okay.
And we walked in. This is in the laundry room. Now, this is Peck's Plumbing for those of you that are watching on Facebook.
And if you're not watching on Facebook, I encourage you to get on Facebook and or YouTube here in a minute.
And in just a few feet of Peck's, we've got shark bites, which are these connectors. We've got a bunch of elbows. I've probably got more connectors and elbows than I do actual
That literally
tubing.
looks like the worst plumbing job of all time.
This pressure tank, which is a great idea in an apartment building because it adds water pressure.
It looks like it's almost duct taped up there.
It is. That's a ducting strap.
I mean, it's
that somebody screwed to the wall behind it and just stuck it up there.
That's a high quality job. I mean,
Now,
as in by high quality, I mean like on a scale of 1 to 10, this is like a 2. I feel
that makes me anxious just looking at it. I just kind of
like there's more than one opportunity for something to go wrong there.
Right. Now, Jason, if you'll show the next picture.
All right, give me a second. Talk about yourself.
I mean, he's thinking about
I backed
it.
myself into a corner here.
At some point here in a moment,
There
we'll
we
get
go.
to this next picture. Here we go. Now, this is the opposite of an amateur hour job.
That is one of that brings peace to my
Beautiful.
spirit.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
And it looks like angel wings.
Like when we were like doing electrical show, a few weeks ago, and like when you see a good, nicely wired job, like, oh my gosh, you appreciate that. This is like, it's a work of art, is it not?
This guy or gal, whoever did this, they care
Deeply about what they
do.
do. Absolutely.
And so if you look, this is what's called a manifold, and we'll get into all that some other time maybe. But each line goes out to a different faucet or toilet or whatever. But it's just done so beautifully, so perfectly. That's the difference between a maintenance guy who
does this on the side,
had to do it because he had to do it that day, and a trained, highly skilled craftsperson.
And I'm going to go out on a limb on this, I feel, at this point. But, I'm guessing that this system right here that we're looking at, option 2 here, is less likely to have a leak than option 1 that we looked at. Which is, again, why you hire a trained professional, which is what we're talking about on this show, which is, how do you get into a trade like this? And why would you want to get into a trade like this? Again, Greg, not to delve too deep into this, but the college route is so amazing for so many people. Unfortunately, it's also not amazing for a lot of people. And the trades industry just provides this amazing opportunity to immediately go to work, dive into an apprenticeship, go to work for a big company, learn a skill, learn a trade, go to work for a couple years and learn that, literally get paid to learn, get paid to go to college as you can in the journey of being an apprentice, which is one of the first steps in getting involved in getting into the plumbing industry or the electrical trade, any industry for that matter. Go to work for a good company that has a good training program in place, get started in this, and the world begins to open up to you. Because as we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, there is just a plethora of opportunities, not just fixing what the leak under the kitchen sink, period. Right. Like there's so much more to this that quite frankly pays a lot of money, which is awesome.
And I'm just stuck on the word plethora. Can you spell that? Because I got to look.
No, I cannot. I heard that on a podcast, and I have no idea how to spell that. But
and now you've paid it forward because somebody's going to go,
forward.
I heard that on a podcast.
Ed Milet, by the way.
Let's jump in. And there are basically 7 different career paths, right?
There are.
So let's kind of talk about those a little bit. The first one is the one we all think about.
Literally, you're the residential plumber who fixes leaks, why do I keep saying leaks under kitchen sinks? Maybe
I'd argue it could be made for both. I've heard it both ways.
It could be, but you're that residential plumber who fixes leaks under kitchen sinks. You fix if the HVAC system gets clogged in the return, which I actually just had happen in a crawl space, which created a massive problem, by the way. But I digress. And
wait, you more crawl space problems?
Oh, just more crawl space problems. Because you know what? if you want Ryan Hergen to help you with your house, there is never mind. I'm not going to say that. I don't want to put bad words out there. But
yeah, no.
But simply put, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many problems with crawl spaces because people don't take care of things, and then nevertheless it creates more compound issues. But with leaks, residential creates so many opportunities for work, but then there's also commercial opportunities and commercial applications for plumbing work as well, right? Not just fixing the leak under your sink. It's how can I find an opportunity? Simply it boils down to this. Do you like to fix stuff or do you like to build stuff? Because with plumbing, you've got the opportunity to do both, right? Like if you want to design a big warehouse, right? You can be a pipe fitter. I'm jumping ahead, here just a little bit on the list, but you can be a pipe fitter, you can be a steam fitter. There's so many opportunities to build new projects as a plumber as well, or hell, just design that stuff on CAD. I'm jumping way ahead here at this point, but simply put, there's just an amazing amount of opportunity beyond just fixing a leak. So.
Right, and so with residential, we've got the service part, which is huge, and we've also got new construction, but you touched on pipe fitter. So let's kind of jump into that for a minute, because what's the difference between a residential plumber and a pipe fitter?
Go ahead.
All right. So pipe fitters basically fit pipes. They lay pipes in industrial and commercial applications.
So imagine if you've ever watched a video of a warehouse, watching Henry Ford's, building cars, right? There's pipes running everywhere in those buildings, right? Any factory, any commercial application you go into, there's HVAC ducts, there's plumbing ducts, there's water that has to go somewhere, right? That's what we're talking about here from a pipe fitter or steam fitter standpoint, is going in and actually building those systems out and putting them all together. That is not fixing a leak under your kitchen sink. That is a massive undertaking for a massive project that requires a lot of skilled trade and time and thought to make happen.
Now, you said steam fitter. Let's talk about the difference.
Go ahead.
Because a pipe fitter, we do the supply lines and whatever. A steam fitter, they're going to come in, same thing, industrial or power plant applications, but they lay pipe that carries high-pressure gases.
Yep.
You might think of, in a residential application or commercial, the old buildings that had boilers, right?
Yep.
And the radiators and all that. That's high-pressure gas. It's vaporized water, right? But so that's a completely different specialty, because doing a pipe right to where it can carry, several hundred pounds per square inch of gas through it without exploding, that's kind of important.
It's just a touch important.
You can't be the guy that did the other. Well, never mind.
Yeah, that other picture, the first picture, picture A, Exhibit A.
But then we've got pipe layer.
Yep.
Now, in doing research for this, because believe it or not, Ryan and I don't know all this stuff off the top of our heads. Ryan does most of it. I have to research. Anyway, words like plethora. Anyway, so pipe layer, think of digging trenches, laying water mains, laying sewer mains. When I was 18 years old, I went to work for a guy, and I thought I was going to get to be a heavy equipment operator, running the backhoes and all this and that. Well, we were laying 12-inch water mains up into a brand new neighborhood that was being built back then south of Plainfield. My job was I put on hip waders, and I made a joke about going fishing, and all the guys laughed, and I was like, what? That's not funny? It wasn't funny. Because my job was getting down in the ditch.
They knew what was ahead.
Right. And this is a great example. That's where you start, right? I got down in the ditch, and I had these 12-inch rubber O-rings on my arm, and I would walk up to the next set of pipe. I would grease it, put the O-ring on. The crane, or not the crane, the backhoe would lower the pipe. I'd help seat it. I'd walk down to the next one. It was a mucky, dirty job, but this is back in 1988, and I made $8 an hour.
Yeah.
That's good money for 1988. At that money, I could afford a truck payment, my own apartment, yada, yada, yada.
Not bad.
Now, I kept asking the guys to let me get on the backhoe, and he was like, really, no, you're not going to do it. And finally, the one day, I can't remember the guy's name now. Forgive me, it's been 30 years, right? But he said, I tell you what, can you do this? Hey, Bobby, come here. One of the other guys walked over, had a ball cap on. He took the front of his backhoe, lifted the bucket up, and went and popped the hat off his head. He said, when you can do that, you can get on here. But that's my point. You started off where I did,
Yep.
and that guy, whatever the hell his name was, back in 1988, was probably making $20 an hour doing that trade.
That's the biggest thing I want people to take away from this is that, the opportunity to start out doing something like being an apprentice, literally getting paid to learn versus paying to go learn something, right? That's the biggest thing I want people to take away from this. And, following that path. And, with plumbing, again, it's not my area of expertise, but at the same point in time, there is not a human being alive today that does not need some aspect of plumbing in their life, which means this is a recession-proof business that is always going to be in existence. It's something that is always going to be needed. So if you're one of the few people that are, inclined to learn something like this, and like your friend said earlier today, if you're willing to do something that other people are not, oh my gosh, the opportunities are literally endless because there are so fewer and fewer people that are willing to get into trades like this right now because it's not glamorous, it's not sexy, it's not fun to go to a bar and say, yeah, I'm a plumber. That's the opposite of sexy. It's like, for me, it's like I don't tell people I'm a roofer very often, but yet like if I was trying to pick up women, that's not what I don't do that. That's not sexy. That's not fun at all. But guess what? That's what I do. I own a roofing company. I own a solar company. I'm a real estate guy. Like, that's what I do, and I'm proud of it. Like, I love the trades industry because the second you're willing to learn something new is the second opportunity opens up a bound for you, and you can literally go out and earn a living doing anything, anytime, because guess what? It's always going to rain somewhere. There's always going to be a plumbing problem somewhere. There's always going to be an electrical problem somewhere because things just happen. That's what I love about this industry. And going back to what we originally started with, if you simply show up on time and do what you say you're going to do, you can make as much money as you simply want to make, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm off my high horse.
Ryan, roofers also always have a great tan, so you'd have that going for you as far as the...
Unless you're me. Like, I've got the best farmer's tan, and because I went tanning in a tanning bed way too much in my early 20s trying to look good for everybody, didn't go well. Anyway, I digress.
Jason,
so
I don't know
now
about
I wear
you.
long sleeves everywhere.
But I really want to see an orange Ryan. That's what I want to see.
Well, there's one or two pictures
I could probably get a filter or something to make that happen.
There's one or two pictures from like 2001 floating around. I don't know where anymore, but anyway.
Wow. Anyway, so back when the housing market crashed, a buddy of mine worked for a plumbing company.
Yep.
And long story short, he went out on his own, bought an old van, and he found a niche. All he does is replace water heaters, sump pumps, and he services irrigation systems, shuts them down, brings them back on. Think about that for a minute. He's making a ton of money right now.
As in a ton being six figures, not like a small amount. As in six figures, yes.
So the last thing I want to talk about, well, not the last thing, but one of the, and then we'll get into some more of the money and training and whatever. I had a bunch of coffee on the way here. You had a Monster. We are a bit ADD show today.
And Jason's like surviving.
Bourbon just went down the wrong pipe there. I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough. I apologize for that.
Well, the way this show goes, that's just kind of par. I mean, that's
all right.
how we roll.
We're doing just fine.
But so this one fascinates me, and honestly makes me a little nervous. A gas service tech, as in natural gas.
Because there are gas leaks. Like, think about this. If you've got a gas stove, you've got a gas water heater, you got a gas furnace. Those things, unfortunately, have fittings in there, which a plumber connects, that unfortunately go bad sometimes. And you've got to be able to go in and find those challenges to solve that problem for people, because obviously gas leaks, we don't need any stories that, we don't need to talk about
kaboom,
that.
Right.
It's really bad.
But I'll combine gas service and a pipe layer.
Yeah.
I go out to the spot in Montezuma, Indiana, and fish and hang out and whatever. Been going there since I was a kid with my dad. Anyway, you come down this hill, and there's a big open field, probably 600 yards, and then the levee for the river. Well, for a couple of years, they were laying new gas mains. What the hell they call those pipes? Pipelines.
Yes, there you go. Big pipes.
There's a picture somewhere of me, and I couldn't find it today, but I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm standing in one of the sections of pipe, and I'm not touching the top of it. And that was natural gas they were pushing through there.
Yeah.
Every time I drive over that area now, and I know where the pipe runs under me, I think, "Ooh, don't go kaboom." So another area is well specialist. A lot of people still have wells.
A lot of people have wells. Like, it's huge, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to live outside of the suburbs, you're still, you get your water from a well, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
My folks have a well, and it's the most delicious drinking water out of a tap ever.
Can be. It can also taste like sulfur, which my parents' well tastes like.
It's a deep subject, but no.
Oh, I gotta get a rim shot.
That's coming up.
I'm gonna write that.
That's
down.
the next upgrade. That's the next upgrade to Studio J is the rim shot.
But
how about a live drummer? Just set him like right over there.
That'd
that'd be
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and so that's you install wells, you service wells. The other thing is, and I touched on it earlier before, but septic.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Now that can be a crappy job. I can't help myself. If you're watching at home,
Those
I'm
puns
so sorry.
are just piling up at this point.
It's a dad joke haven. But that guy, he was exactly right. He made a lot of money. He had a lot of trucks on the road because who wants that job?
Few people.
But he was willing to do it, and so because he was willing to do it, he was able to make a lot of money.
Well, and that's
Dare I say a crap load?
Well, and that's kind of where I just, again, want to put an exclamation point on this entire topic of the trades industry is, is it sexy? No. Is it glamorous? No. Yet, is it required and a necessity to everybody who's living anywhere? 100%. Yes. And that's where opportunity exists, is you don't have to be a master of all of these plumbing trades. You pick one and you be the expert in that.
Right.
And you be that person to the the people that you want to serve, and all of a sudden opportunities just literally expand upon themselves indefinitely. And that's what I want, just me being, the kind of guy, like I started 2 businesses this year. You started another business this year. That entrepreneurial spirit of just saying yes, seeing an opportunity to help other people out and do it at a high level and show up on time, do what you say you're going to do. The opportunities are truly endless. And that's what I'm so passionate about is this entire trades industry. I don't care if you want to be a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, any of it. You pick one. Oh my gosh, all you have to do is spend a couple years learning about this, spend a couple more years getting really, really good at this, and all of a sudden the opportunities to become a millionaire are amazingly apparent.
And that's something you hit on that I have to, I think it bears drilling down on. Mm-hmm. And that is be excellent at a thing.
At a thing, not everything.
I'm walking through Home Depot's parking lot the other day, and there was a white cargo van, right? And it said free candy. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm kidding. It said, ABC Home Services, whatever it was. Right. I had to stop. Now, granted, I read slow, but still, I had to stop and read everything they do.
Yep.
Drywall, decks, gutters, roofing, siding, blah, 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 blah. There's like 37 things listed.
Yep.
And I thought, how good is this cat at any of those?
Yep.
And maybe he's boss. Maybe he's some savant. And
I hope he is.
Yeah, truly. But you're right. You drill down and you become excellent at a thing.
At a thing, period. And then you can expand upon that if you want, once you have somebody else that can help you grow and, learn in that area. But simply put, I mean, if you want to be the best guy who shows up and fix, leaky sinks, cool, then do that. If you want to be the guy who designs how pipes need to flow in order to build a new warehouse, which, by the way, I don't know, there's probably about 80 new warehouses being built on the west side of Indianapolis right now. Yeah. I'm guessing that pays more than $10 an hour. I'm just guessing. And so,
just throwing that out there.
And so those opportunities are truly everywhere. And that's what I just want people to accept and realize is that, oh my gosh, this is everywhere. All you have to do is be willing to look somewhere that everybody else isn't to find an opportunity and just show up on time and do what you say you're going to do.
And think about this. If you're a journeyman plumber right now, you will start at about $25 an hour.
So let me ask you this. What's a journeyman plumber actually mean? I've heard that term a lot. I actually don't even know. I've Googled an apprentice. I know what it takes to be an apprentice plumber and get started. What's being a journeyman plumber actually mean?
So like any of the trades, especially the ones that are trained through a union apprenticeship programs, you start as an apprentice, you're a beginner, and you become a journeyman. Yep. So the journeyman is, I'm done training for all practical.
Yeah. I can make stuff. I can do my own thing on my own.
Right.
Right.
And boss apprentices around.
Right.
Send them to to go find the board stretcher and different stuff that you do.
The
to
board
repress this.
stretcher,
Yeah.
or like the headlight grease,
Yeah.
perhaps. Like both of those things are super
Blinker
important.
fluid.
Absolutely, all of them. So. But like once you've got that, but then you elevate to like a master plumber or a master electrician,
Right.
Or
It's kind of like, well, no, I don't want to use a Masonic Lodge example, but yeah, basically it. And so, let's say you go the route for training of a trade school. You'll start as an apprentice. You'll have 2 years of hardcore training, and you'll come out a journeyman.
Yep.
And then you can strive to become a master.
Which is where the opportunity to then open your own business exists, correct?
Right.
Exactly. Once you've achieved that master level status, and again, this is, this varies from state to state, in the requirements to open your own plumbing business, period. But ultimately, once you achieve that master plumber status, which isn't realistically going to take you, from what I've learned, more than 5 to 6 years, now all of a sudden you can open your own business, and you've gotten paid to learn those 5 or 6 years that it's going to take you to do that.
Right.
Right.
And with the apprenticeship type program, so those take a little longer than trade school. You're exactly right. But let's say I'm an 18-year-old kid and I just got out of high school. And I've got 2 options that I'm looking at. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a degree in, I don't know, underwater dance theory or whatever. Let's be more realistic. I'm going to go in, I don't know what I want to do, but I'll get a business degree.
Right.
Okay. So
which does a lot of good right now. It really separates you from a lot of other people.
Right. All the other applicants for assistant manager at Walgreens, like, you'll stand out.
That was me being very facetious.
Me too, because a buddy of mine got a business degree and ended up an assistant manager at a Walgreens. Anyway, so I digress. So, wow, we're killing time. Anyway, but you look at that and you decide, God, I don't know if I want to go spend 4 years on a university campus, end up, the average right now is, I think, $50,000 in debt. So you take a look at a plumbing company. Quick Google search, I found 5 plumbing companies that are advertising right now. We will hire you if you have a high school diploma. We will train you.
Yep.
So in that same 4 years,
trained.
Yeah, you start off at about $15 an hour. You go through their paid apprenticeship program. So they're paying you and they're teaching you. At the end of 4 years, you don't have a degree. At the end of 4 years, you're a journeyman plumber.
But you have a skill set is what you have. You have a skill set that will transcend any degree, because at any point in time, if something happens with plumbing, guess what? You've learned how to fix that. And when your neighbor's plumbing goes bad, guess what? You can charge them $500 to go fix it, because you are the one who knows how to do that.
Right.
That's what I love about this, is like your ability to earn income just immediately is available to you, because you can do something that is immediately at need of everybody in the world. Right or wrong?
Absolutely. Well, not everybody in the world.
Well, unfortunately.
But
most.
I'm just being facetious.
Many.
But and that's the thing. So let's say, all right, I get done with my apprenticeship. I'm 22. I spend 3 more years and I become a master plumber. Mm-hmm. And let's say my specialty is residential plumbing. Now, I've got an entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go start my own business. Now, I'm 25 years old. I'm running my own business out of 1 truck, and I'm making 6 figures.
You know what I love about that story is I know 2 people, not in plumbing, but in other trades industries, actually both electricians, our topic a couple of weeks ago, but it's all the same. It truly is.
Yeah.
It's all the same. And both of these people did exactly what you just talked about. Now, what's awesome about this story is I'm almost 40. You're way, way, way older than me, like way older than me.
Yet I look younger, but go ahead.
Which is true. But simply put, they're 40 years old now or less, and they're millionaires.
Right.
They're literally millionaires because they literally followed the path that you followed. They were consistent with what they do every single day, and they just got better at it. They found their niche. One of them literally is that guy who fixes residential stuff. I about cussed there, Jason. Thank you. But then the other one literally found a pipe fitting opportunity. He met a guy who was building buildings, and guess what? He got a couple contracts, and all of a sudden he did good work. He showed up on time, did what he said he was going to do, and all of a sudden that led to many more mega corporate opportunities, building out pipes in commercial applications. That's what I'm talking about, is like you can pick your path, but once you learn a skill set, once you learn how to do that better than anybody else, you develop some business skills along the way. Oh my gosh, the opportunities are amazing.
And you can develop the business skills necessary, and you and I both know this. whether it's how to manage your business, how to sell, how to whatever, with a library card.
Literally. With a library card, or hell, even YouTube, or find a good prophet, as in prophet with a PH, on Instagram. Find somebody that has done what you want to do and copy their playbook. That's simply what it is. Copy their playbook, because there are so many people that have done what you want to do in your life well before you have. I know everybody in this world thinks they're this special little snowflake, but guess what? There's been a lot of us, and a lot of us have documented that path. All you have to do is copy and paste and just show up and do it every day, and guess what? Success follows.
Jason, did you catch that? He called me old, and then just
Snowflake.
a couple.
Called you snowflake, I think.
No, I don't think that happened.
Okay.
No, maybe the beard, but no, he called me old, and then a couple minutes later, I suggested people get a library card.
That is also true. That just happened.
That's kind of my go-to, but yeah, you're exactly right, and I can't stress enough. I'm not the first person to say this, but I've said it before on this show. Look, find a trade, become good at it, then become excellent at it, and then you will find you're passionate about it. And where did you go? That was weird.
That was weird, but nevertheless,
that's the noise canceling feature of the new mixer.
Of the new
Anyway,
thing.
You said it very quietly.
So great. We've talked about money a little bit on this, and let's kind of wrap up with what are the earning potential opportunities within the plumbing trade. Let's kind of wrap up with that.
Yeah. Okay. So, like we kind of mentioned, you're going to start as an apprentice at about $15 an hour or so. As a journeyman, the average starting journeyman pay in Indiana right now is $25 an hour.
Yeah.
So that's just over $50,000 a year if you only work 40 hours. And you know as well as I do, every plumber we know is working way more than 40 hours a week.
The opportunity to work is bound right now, period.
And they're offering all these incentives, these companies, because they can't find people that want to show up
Literally
every day
show up
and
and work. That's what is so comical to me, is like literally these companies cannot find people that want to show up to work. And yet the world's like facing this like, oh, I can't find a job. Give me a break.
Right.
I digress.
Absolutely, give me a break. And so with all the different opportunities, the pay changes depending on which direction you go, right? But I'm saying if you can't be 3 or 4 years into this trade and making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, you're doing it wrong.
And if you can't be 10 years into this trade and making $1 million a year, then guess what?
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. So get to it. So that is another episode of Blue Collar Real Estate. We just truly want to support and encourage people to consider opportunities that exist beyond just going to college. And not that we are against that at all, because it is certainly for people. However, we love this stuff. This is what we're about. We love fixing houses. We love real estate. That's what we do, Greg, right?
That's exactly what we do.
So for another edition of Blue Collar Real Estate, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Greg.
Thank you. Thank you very much.